most programs, when they start failing, or most companies start failing, they start realizing that they're falling behind in schedule. And really that's an indication that there's a deeper problem in some other area in your processes or tools, specifically your program management tools. Because if you're falling behind in schedule, that means something else has happened. Maybe you didn't define your requirements well enough up front, and so now you're constantly revolving and changing, or you're having scope creep, like when I was talking about multiple customers. You start adding new requirements to the product that you hadn't thought about before. And then that completely changes the design, and now you're having to rebuild and remanufacture things, and it just takes a long time to incorporate those changes. Or you don't have the right organizational structure, and that happens a lot too. You don't understand the organizational implications of the design and the product. We just jump in and start designing stuff, and a lot of companies today want to have a totally flat organization, and that can be very effective, especially in the beginning. But as you grow and evolve, you go from 50 employees to 1,000 employees, you can't have the same management structure when you grow at that scale. And so it's somewhere along the line of 100 to 200 people, you need to start really reorganizing in a way that allows people to fit in easily and effectively. But you won't, if you just have a totally flat organization, like you started when you were in a prototype phase, you won't be able to execute effectively. As you add people, they won't know what they're doing, they won't know what their mission is, they don't know how they fit in with the other people or who they're delivering products to. It becomes very confusing, and you become very inefficient, and everything comes to a screeching halt. And then you start wondering, why can't I produce the way I was able to produce earlier? And you get very frustrated. And so typically what happens is when these small companies start realizing that, they start looking for help, and then they start asking for maybe consultants to come in and help them with the schedule. So that's where you really realize that you have a significant problems, when you're not meeting the deadlines that you thought you needed to hit, and then you start asking for help. But ultimately, that's just a symptom, and there's some other underlying cause that's driving it. And you don't know what that's going to be until you start really understanding the organizational structure and what the processes that they've set in place. So you have to evaluate each company at its own merit, and then assess what are the things that they're missing. So I like to call it kind of a gap analysis. You go in, you evaluate all the different program management principles against how the company is performing, and you identify what are those things that are missing from how they are currently executed. They don't have to be formal processes that they've put in place, but oftentimes people will do them without even thinking about them. But sometimes they're missing as well. And so you just need to sit down and kind of do that analysis, figure out what are they missing, and then streamline new processes for them to fill in those gaps.